Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face and my card making space and some cards using some Pinkfresh Studio products. I am part of a Instagram hop today. It's a collab with Altenew and Pinkfresh Studio to show ideas using the Stampwheel 2.0. So I will have a link to my Instagram, like I always do. It is worth checking out because there's tons of inspiration, giveaways, all the fun things. So I filmed all my making as I tend to do, and I'm doing this video as just a bonus. I'm going to be doing some hot foiling with the press plates that I was sent because press plates and hot foiling and I ended up making more cards than I planned, and I've got extra die cuts for extra projects because once I start I can't stop. So I did some hot foiling and some stenciling and ink blending and all the fun things, and I will have links to everything I used in the description box below the video. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you click on one of my links and end up placing an order, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. It's what helps pay the bills, keeps my heaters going, enables me to keep doing this as a job. And I think that's all the housekeeping. Yeah, let's get into making these cards. So I'm using the Always Smiling suite of products from Pinkfresh Studio, starting off with the press plates. Now, if you don't like press plates or just have zero interest of getting into it, there is a stamp set, and it can be substituted because the stamp set and the press plates are the same size, same detail, everything. So do you need both? No, you don't. Did I need both? No. Did I need any of it? No. But yeah, I can't resist press plates. I do love them. And at the end of the video, I'll post my playlist of the videos I've done with press plates. And the thing I really love about press plates is how well they hot foil. I don't know why, but there's something about the material that the plates are made out of. I have yet to have a bad result. I've never had a bad result with these. So I've got the plates, like the main, like floral, and then one of the sentiments on my GLIMMER hot foil machine that was already heated up, and then I pressed the timer. And for the foil, I'm using Altenew's light copper mirror foil, and again, chef's kiss. So I have the plates on the GLIMMER machine. I had the foil with the pretty side of the foil touching the plate. And then my cardstock is just Simon Says Stamps, smooth white, 120 pound cardstock. I had pressed the little timer, so that will flash for about a minute till it's fully heated up, just like so. So once it goes solid, it's time to run it through my die cut machine. And I use my Platinum 6 machine when I am hot foiling and when I'm using my Better Press. And then I just remove that from the docking system of the GLIMMER. And then I slowly run this through my machine. And I did all of this, and then the next section, I kept all this in real time because usually I speed all this up in editing just because it can be boring. But that's how slow I run my GLIMMER through my die cutting machine, because the die cutting machine is what applies the pressure. I just run it through nice and slow. And right here, like the magic. Perfection. I love it. It's shiny. The detail. Again, the detail. Seriously. Press plates. It's the future, man. So I did this multiple times. I was having so much fun because it's just like it was perfect every time. So I did multiples. And then because everything turned out so well, you can, of course, use the leftover foil pieces, like this. And I've shown this in other videos. This is the Pinkfresh solid foil plate. And this you would let heat up for longer than what I would let my press plates heat up for. So when I had turned on the machine and it's heating up, I had that plate on there to heat up this entire time. Some people will press the timer, let it fully heat up, remove it, put it back, and let go through that cycle a couple of times to really let this plate heat up. For me, I never really need to do that. But if you have struggled with that solid hot foil plate, that is something to try, is just remove the plates, and let them heat up, or remove the dock, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I did the same thing. I used the leftover foil and I'd put it with the pretty side of the foil touching the plate. the smooth white cardstock, let it heat up, use the timer. And then this, when I'm using this solid hot foil plate, I do run it, as you saw, back and forth through my machine. Just run it through, run it back, just give it all that pressure. And again, like, look at this. I don't always get the best results with the reverse, but these ones all turned out great. So I had a pile of these images. But like, look at that. It's so pretty. I didn't end up using the florals, like the reverse florals. I die cut them. Like, I end up die cutting, and I just put them back in the packaging with the press plates because I ran out of time. Honestly, the tech issues, you guys. So many tech issues and just things on my plate. So I just saved them for another project. But I'll come back to the reverse. I ended up using some of the reverse sentiments from all of that. So for the stenciling, there is a layering stencil set that coordinates with this. And I'm just using my Stampwheel 2.0 because it's got the sticky grid in there. Mine wasn't very sticky. Later on in this video, like, I'm kind of fighting with it. And I kept fighting with it. Like, my cardstock wasn't really sticking to it. And then, it took a while because, again, I've had a lot on my plate. My brain wasn't processing. It was dusty. I work in my garage. Things get dusty. Things like this, because I keep it out. I keep my actual, like, grip mats and things in mesh bags, to protect them. But this I usually leave just sitting out because I use it a lot. And yeah, when I wiped off my grip mat here in the stamp wheel, there was a lot of dust on it. And I was like, that's why my cardstock wasn't sticking very well. The stencil stuck to it perfectly. Stencils stick to this so nicely. Like, oh, I love these for holding stencils in place, especially when you're using, like, all these layers. So you can see the ink colors on screen. I was using Altenew inks, specifically Caribbean Sky and then this Persian Blue. I don't often reach for blues, like more true blues. I usually go more aqua colors, teal, that sort of thing. But with that copper foil, I was like, ooh, blue would look really nice with this. And I'm just like, I don't use blue very often, so let's do it this time. So that's what I used for the layers for the flowers. And then for the flower centers, I used yellow ochre. And for all my blending, I'm using Altenew's mini blending brushes. Love those so much for all my layering stencils. So I only show me working on these 2 panels, but I had 2 other ones. In the end, I ended up making 4 cards. And I could have made like 6 to 8 cards with the reverse foil pieces, everything. It was fun. So after I finished the centers, there's 2 layers for all the greenery. And that's where I used bamboo. And then the final layer, like the detail layer, I go in with olive. And then also I add a little bit of moss ink just to deepen it up a little bit. Just to give it that little extra something. Now, I love layering stencils. I've talked about this a lot. I don't know. I literally, when I was doing this, even though I was filming, I'm still working. But I did the other ones, and it's just satisfying. Like, I still love coloring. I did a video just the other day of me doing some no-line coloring, Copic coloring, all the coloring. I love doing coloring. Like, I could press this image or stamp and heat emboss with the stamp and then watercolor it, and I'd be happy as a clam. So, yeah, it's all just personal preference. But for those that don't like to color or struggle with color, or you're just like me and you just need to have all the things, and you like the look of the stenciled, the smooth ink blend, and the satisfaction. It's just satisfying. Anywho, after I did all my ink blending, I used the coordinating wafer dies to die cut everything. So ran those through, and again, I die cut these ones. I die cut the other ones I did off screen. I die cut all the reverse foiling. That's where you just shut the brain off and just run it through. Not your brain. Don't run your brain through your die cut machine. But, you just do all the die cutting and you zone out to, Netflix or something. So I did all of my die cutting. And then also while I was die cutting, like some of the reverse things, I was die cutting panels using the nested elongated oval blanket stitch. These are fun. I tend to avoid ovals. I've mentioned this in other videos. I don't know. The older I get, the harder of a time I have with ovals lining them up. Like, my brain and my eyeballs are just struggling. However, these ones have straight sides, and I really like this sort of shape. So and then they have the blanket stitch around the perimeter. Love it. I was kind of excited when I got these. I was like, yes, I really want these. So I stuck these inside my stamp wheel. And again, this is where I started really noticing, but it's when I do my card bases that I finally like figured out what was the issue, is that I had dust all over the sticky mat in my stamp wheel. But anyway, I'm blending Arctic ink using Pinkfresh brushes. I showed these in a recent video. These brushes are very new to me, but I'm liking them. So I just did a very, very light blend with this Arctic ink. This is the lightest ink in that blue quad, which was the Glacier Caves quad. And I just did that light blend in the center of these ovals. And yeah, love it. So then I took the side off this stamp wheel, because that's the stamp wheel 2.0. The one side comes off, which is super love for me specifically, because I like to do the insides of my cards. So I like to have, my card bases hanging off the edge. It makes life easier. I also use one of Altenew's alignment guides, because in this way I can do all 4 of my card bases, because I'm stamping the inside of the card. That's where the stamp set's coming in handy. Although if I didn't have the stamp set, I would have used the press plate and done the same thing with that Arctic ink. And I've shown that in other videos as well. So use what you got, do what works for you. But if I've got all the things, I'm going to use all the things. So I lined up the card base and I stamped the inside of the card with that lightest blue ink, so the Arctic ink. And because I had the alignment guide in there, I can just line up the next card base, repeat. Line up the next one, repeat. Like quick, easy, love it. And it was after I was fighting with the card bases that I finally, used my brain that I didn't run through my Deca machine and wiped off the mat, and it was like, oh, look at that mat, it's sticky again. So yeah, if your grip mats, the cardstock's not sticking to it, because stencils will pretty much stick to it regardless, because stencils are plastic. But if your cardstock's not sticking to your grip mats, like sticking inside your stamp wheel, sticking, like there's also that big Altenew ultra sticky mat that I love as well, wipe it off. Like either just wipe it or run it under the kitchen sink with just some warm water. That will do the trick, and it's good to go. Don't let it soak. It doesn't need to soak in water. You just need to wipe it off, rinse it off quick. It's good to go. And let it air dry, and it brings all the stick back. So I'd done that, and now oh, my card bases are sticking to it fabulously. Anyway, I'm stamping a sentiment from that stamp set. I used Lisa Horton Copper Pot metallic ink for that, because pulling in all the copper goodness. And then for that larger oval, I used the largest oval on this coppery glitter cardstock. Altenew has some gorgeous brushed copper cardstock. I have it. I bought it forever ago. I was searching for it for this, and then I came across, because I didn't find it, it's around here somewhere, but I came across, I have this coppery glitter cardstock from Craft Consortium. Yeah, so that's what I used. And it's super pretty, and it's a little bit glittery. I will say it was a bit of a bear to die cut. There's a bit of a coating on the back of this stuff. And even though these are a simple shape, the blanket stitch, like the piercing detail, I don't know. This is the first time I've kind of struggled with glitter cardstock getting die cut. This was fine. It was manageable, but I would not use that type of cardstock with a really intricate wafer die. You're going to have, because even with my shims and stuff, I struggled a little bit. So yeah, if I remember though, I'll link also to the Altenew brush copper cardstock, because it is just chef's kiss gorgeous, and that would work amazingly with this. So anyway, I adhered those 2 layers together. I had added some baker's twine from my stash. I just tied it around the white oval, and then glued those to my card front. And then you saw me make a pencil mark there just on the back of the floral. That's just where the baker's twine is going to go, so that I don't put foam squares over that, so I don't get a weird lump. And then I put just thin foam squares on the back of this, and then got that stuck onto my card front. And then I can flip that over and trim off the excess with my scissors. And then for my sentiments, I used some of the reverse foil sentiments, because I just love how those look. And I die cut them with the coordinating wafer die. And then I also die cut just scraps of cardstock with the same sentiment wafer die. And then trimmed off some of the ends, because the end of the sentiment's going to layer on top of the floral, which is already popped up with foam tape. So I just used the part of those little die cuts so that those will pop up the rest of the sentiment there, adhered them together with craft tacky glue, stuck it to the back of the sentiment, and then adhered this into place, and then did the same thing on all the other cards. So just kept them simple, didn't do anything different in terms of layouts or anything like that, because again, It was just, oh, I was having a time. It was one of those days, but the making of these was a lot of fun. This part was therapy. It's too bad messing around with all the tech and trying to fix things wasn't also, so relaxing. But anyway, as my final bit of embellishment, I used, these are deep sea sapphire gem sparkles from Altenew. They're not quite the right shades of blue, but the lightest shade of these sparkles worked, So they're self-adhesive, so I just peel and stick. Love it. And they add just that little extra bling. And I know I didn't add splatter. I was gonna, but it was just, I was done. And then I was like, oh yeah, I meant to do that. But you know what? These have shine and sparkle and pretty color. These two that I did off camera, I used the So Many Reasons to Celebrate sentiment, which I really like. And I didn't put another sentiment on the inside because those ones are very open-ended. Like they could be a birthday card, they could be a wedding card, they could be a new baby card, like so many reasons to celebrate, And then these two with the sentiment on the inside are more thank you cards. And yeah, those are all my cards. Like I mentioned in the intro, I'll have links to all of the things in the description box below the video, as well as a link to my Instagram, which I highly recommend checking out because the hop for this, there's going to be tons of awesome inspiration and giveaways. And yeah, thank you all so much for hanging out with me, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't. I'd love to have you, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!